Hello, officer. YouTube, fascinating graveyard. Today we are at the Memorial Park Cemetery here in Lawrence, Kansas, and we're going to visit the grave of James Naismith. He is the man who invented the game known as basketball. So a quick little history on Mr. Naismith. He was actually not even born in this country. He was born in Canada on November the 6th, 1861. Who would have ever thought that? So later on in his life, he immigrated over to the United States and he was offered a job, basically I'm going to say some kind of a PE teacher, if you will, for Springfield College in Springfield, Massachusetts. Now, when he's working over there, somewhere in the 1890s or something like that, back in those days, we had a couple of popular sports in the collegiate level. You had lacrosse, and you had the most popular one, which was football. You also had wrestling, but football was the most popular game in college and in amongst high school athletes. So, as some of you are well aware, it gets mighty cold in Massachusetts during the wintertime. Now, when you got January, February, you're not really going outside to play because it's freaking cold outside. So Naismith was tasked with being able to make a game for all of the young boys to play indoors while it was friggin' cold outside. And he wanted to make a game where, you know, they're in a sense using up energy, they're active, they're participating in the game, they want to participate in the game, and that they're not necessarily hurting themselves the way you hurt yourself when you play football. Because even then, even though we don't have the modern medicine, we don't have modern technology, even then we already knew that football was a very dangerous game. So James Naismith, he invented a game where basically there would be these metal poles, and he took a basket, a peach basket, and he hung this peach basket up on these metal poles. So it was one pole on one side and one pole on the other with these peach baskets. And the object of the game was to get like a ball. At first they started with a soccer ball, and then they put some kind of cloth around it, and then they took leather and stitched it around it. That's how you made it the old basketball. And then the object of the game was to get the ball and score it into the basket. Now, originally, when you scored the ball into the basket, there was no hole in the basket. So there was a person on each side of the grounds, the court, whatever you want to call it, that would get the ball and throw it back into play. Just by dumb happenstance, the baskets were 10 feet tall, and I guess we just basically have used that as a measure for today's game. Now, this game, of course, it was a game that was very fluid in terms of rules. Now, they didn't want the harmful effects of football, so you couldn't just tackle somebody that had the ball. There were several rules in the beginning of this game that were added later on, but the rules were kind of odd in a sense. I think, like, for instance, here's an odd rule for the game back then. If you fouled somebody, they got to shoot a foul shot. If you fouled them a second time, you would have to leave the game, and then it would be like 9-on-8 until the other team fouls somebody, then you can come back in. And originally, now the game is 5-on-5. But back in those days, it was 3 centers, 3 forwards, and 3 guards. I guess until they finally seen there was too many people on the court and they lessened it to 5. And also, the game was played with 2 5-minute quarters in the beginning. Here's a fun fact. Did you guys know that the first college team, basketball team, was made up in 1898? And that was by James Naismith. Because after inventing the game of basketball, he ended up going out to Colorado getting his doctorate degree in, I want to say, physical education. And he got a job at the University of Kansas, and he became the basketball coach and the physical fitness coach and a chaplain over at that school. And the first, I believe, NBA game was played in 1937. There was two basketball leagues then. It was the Basketball Association of America and the NBA, and then later on they would go and merge together and become the NBA. Also in this game, that would, as time go on, rules would be added. The dunk rule, it was never illegal to dunk a basketball in a game. It was illegal in collegiate sports for about 10 years in the mid-60s to the mid-70s, and they made that rule because of Lou Alcindor, who would later go on to become Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because it was an unfair height advantage, so they banned the dunk in the NCAA. But in the NBA, you could dunk, but it was known as poor sportsmanship. You wouldn't dunk a basketball back in the days because it just showed that, haha, I'm taller than you, so I could do that. So any old idiot can dunk a basketball. And also, nobody talks about this, but if you were to dunk a basketball during a game, your opponent would look at it as a sign of disrespect, and you can guarantee yourself on the next play that they were going to try to hurt you. So nobody really dunked in a game. The first recorded dunk was done in the 1936 Summer Olympics in Berlin. Other than that, it wasn't really a thing until later on when Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell made it more popular, were the, I guess you can say, the scarlet letter of the basketball game was scratched off when it came to dunking, and it became more widely acceptable. So Mr. Naismith, he was able to live long enough to see his game that he invented become a Olympic event, and the NCAA bringing it in and making it such a popular collegiate sport. Basketball is my favorite sport of all time. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love it. And that was a quick history of the game that I so love. And this is the grave of the man who invented the sport known as basketball. And his wife, Maud, is lying in peace next to him. And I wonder, see, this man, it was funny because he wasn't looking for attention or notoriety. He just wanted to make a game that people can play indoors during the winter, and they weren't going to bang their heads against each other, you know, killing themselves. And who would have ever thought that this man's invention right here would become what I would say is the second largest sport in the world after soccer? Because when you count China, in terms of, because China, basketball is the most popular sport in China by far. You count them together, and yeah, basketball is right behind soccer with being the most popular. Well, maybe not right behind, but it's behind. So anyways, rest in peace to the founder, the inventor, the originator, the game of basketball, James Naismith. I wonder, as I depart from the cemetery, moving east onto Kansas City, I wonder if any NBA players have ever been to his grave. Just any. LeBron James? Ja Morant? Steph Curry? Giannis Antetokounmpo. Who else is in the NBA? I don't even know anymore. Jimmy Butler, where you at? Where you at? Kevin Durant, come on down. Kawhi Leonard, where you at, bro? Somebody needs to come down and pay this man some respect. Anyway, so I'm out of here. I'm hitting the road. This video was made during the 2023 NBA playoffs. Personally, I think, I'm going to make a prediction. Let's see who's going to win. Well, right now, Giannis hurt his back. So, barring any injuries, I fully expect the Milwaukee Bucks to make it to the NBA Finals and win the championship. I think it's going to be, the finals are going to be the Milwaukee Bucks versus, you guys are going to laugh, if Paul George can come back from his injury, it's going to be the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Milwaukee Bucks. That's who I picked earlier this year in the start of the season. As long as he comes back from injury and he's at least 80%, Clippers and Bucks. If Andrew Wiggins can get his win back and the Warriors are down 0-2, which I fully expect them to come back and beat the Kings. If Paul George doesn't come back, I think it'll be the Warriors and the Bucks will triumph. We'll see how my prediction does, or did, or whatever. Hey, should I go up to that cop and just bang on his window and try to take his gun? No, seriously, you think I should? See, I think about stupid things like that. Like, things are going good in my life right now. Why would I want to do something so bad that I would end up in a Kansas prison? But isn't it funny you could? I mean, I could change my life for the worse. I could go up to that cop and just, give me your gun. Or what if I at least banged on his window and said, "Ray!" You see, then I go to prison. Or at least go to jail. I'm not going to do that. But I want to, just to see what his reaction would be. Do you think he would tase me? Is anybody still watching this video? Why do I think about these weird things? Maybe I should just go up to him and just stare at him. Like this. I don't know. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.